we're going to cover the hidden revenue leak most PI clinics have and how to plug it in 7 days or less. Most personal injury clinics think that they have a marketing problem, but it's actually a process leak. Your processes are broken, not your marketing. For example, not getting records when you say you're going to get them. You can market all day long, but here's a quick story I had with a chiropractic buddy of mine. He was a client of mine, and he was telling me the story. We were at the Hard Rock Casino watching basketball games during the Final Four, and he's like, "Mark, I was talking to this attorney. I hadn't seen any clients from him in a long time. He hadn't been referring to us." And I was getting into a conversation. I said, "Hey, man, we haven't seen any referrals from you guys. Like, what's going on? What's the deal?" And he said, "Doc, I got to tell you, you guys don't screen for traumatic brain injury. You guys are not screening for TBI. We can't really use you guys anymore. Like, we got to send our clients to people that at least screen for traumatic brain injury." So that's the hole in his bucket. His marketing was great. He knows how to get in front of attorneys and have conversations, but he's got a broken process. He doesn't screen for traumatic brain injury. And you don't have a TBI protocol, you are leaving money on the table. You are not giving your patients the most optimal care you possibly could, and you're not adding the value to the case that can help these attorneys maximize case value, get the most money for their client, and get your full bill paid. So lost revenue isn't always visible until it's too late. He had to have a conversation with his attorney, and the attorney told him, "Yeah, you guys don't have a TBI protocol. That's why you haven't seen referrals from us in like 6 months." Well, 6 months went by. This doctor had no idea where the hole in his bucket was, is because his process was broken. He's missing a vital part of personal injury cases for chiropractors that can really make the difference in these cases for the patient and the attorney. Okay. So some other revenue leaks, right? Missed calls. If you are a personal injury doctor and you're still using voicemail, you are going to get passed over to your competitors if an attorney calls during business hours and they get your voicemail. They're not going to leave a message, most likely, and they're just going to call your competitor in your town and send those cases to that doctor. So missed calls, very, very important that you fix that problem, because attorneys aren't going to leave a voicemail. They're going to want to talk to somebody and get them scheduled. Late records. If you're not getting your records to these attorneys in an appropriate amount of time, you're going to start losing referrals. Incomplete documentation. If attorneys are having to send your documentation back or asking questions about it, that's going to prevent you from getting more referrals. You're going to be a one and done. Do you know how to write a Colossus-driven narrative? Do you know what needs to be in the narrative? Do you know the order that all of the template of your narrative, do you know the order it needs to be in, so that when the data processors at the insurance companies are entering in that data, screens are coming up in the proper order that increase the value of the case, right? Or maybe you left something out of your documentation. You were going to piss off an attorney. Okay. If your communications with attorneys are poor, again, if you have voicemail, if you're not following up, if it's hard to get a hold of you because you think you're special, if attorneys don't have your cell phone, poor communication with attorneys is a hole in your bucket. And it matters more in 2025 with the tools that are available. We have AI voice agents that can answer your phone 24 hours a day. They can have conversations that sound like a real human interaction, and you get a full transcript of that entire interaction, so you can follow up as soon as possible and call that attorney back, or get that patient rescheduled, or sign up that new patient by having an AI voice agent have a full, natural, non-robotic conversation. That technology is available and my clients have access to it. Other common leaks you might have. Obviously, if attorneys are responding to your messages on LinkedIn, or they're returning your messages and you're not following up and you have poor response time in your voicemail, that's killing referrals. So you can have a communication leak. You can have a documentation leak. If you don't optimize and up-level your documentation and know how to write good narratives and good notes. If you're seeing a patient and they're in the middle of their musculoskeletal treatment, and then you give them a concussion test 2 months after the accident, but there's nothing in the documentation that has any type of indication that they needed a concussion test. They're not dizzy, confused, irritable, not sleeping. You have no notes in there. You're going to kill the case and piss off attorneys. We talk to trial attorneys in my mastermind. They say they know when they're going to win a case and they know when they're going to lose a case. If you give a concussion test 3 months after the course of treatment and there's nothing in the notes that indicates they have any types of signs, symptoms, or indications of a concussion, you are going to look horrible in the eyes of that attorney. And you may have an operational week. You don't have a good intake workflow. You don't have the ability to identify hidden injuries. In other words, if you're just a sprain strain doc and you're not trying to find hidden injuries like ligament instability, some people call it ligament laxity. I will tell you, attorneys don't like the term laxity because juries hear lax and they think it's relaxed, chilling out on the beach by the pool. Not having the ability to screen for traumatic brain injury is a huge hole in the bucket that's going to get you overlooked by personal injury attorneys. So how do you fix this? Well, I'll give you a 7-day fix framework. Day 1, audit your intake and documentation. Create a checklist. Use ChatGPT for this. Are your intake forms up to speed? Do they have a loss of enjoyment, duties under duress? Those are important things. Make sure your intake forms are optimized for personal injury specifically. I created a brand new personal injury industry chat GPT specifically for the personal injury industry. It can create forms for you in English, in Spanish, specifically for auto injury cases, intake forms. So that's day 1, audit your intake and documentation. Day 2, implement a 24/7 answering service and a text back feature. So whether you're using an AI voice agents, that sounds so real now. You can pick a female voice, a male voice. They can have a full conversation without going through a phone tree of, say, press 1 for English, 2 for Spanish. Do you want a records department, the front desk, 3 for the doctor? No, it'll have a natural conversation with somebody, and that can be turned on and totally controlled by you while you're at lunch, holidays, weekends, after hours. You must have a live person or an AI person answering your calls. If you have voicemail in 2025, you're going to be losing leads. And a text back feature. Maybe somebody calls your office and they hang up before they get an answer. Have a system that will send a text message. Hey, thanks for calling Slater Chiropractic. How can we help you today? People like texting more than they like talking. A lot of them do. So they can have a full text message conversation with an AI responder that's going to get name, email address, phone number, their concern or reason for their call. And that will be emailed to you, a staff member, where they can follow up as soon as possible and collect that lead. Otherwise, that lead is gone. Okay. So that's the day 2 implementation framework. Day 3, screen every patient for TBI or ligament injury. For ligament injuries, take flexion extension films. If you know how to draw the lines of mensuration and figure out the millimeters of translation, anything over 3.5 millimeters of translation in any direction is a 25% permanent whole body impairment. Screening for traumatic brain injury. We use the impact test. My clients get certified for 20% off, and they get those tests cheaper than you can get them if you went to impact.com through my relationship with the impact test. The impact test is the same concussion test, screening test used by the NFL, NHL, NBA, NASCAR colleges and universities in the United States and Canada. They've done 25 million cognitive tests, and it's FDA approved. And in my program, we get you a medical neuropsychologist to evaluate the results of that screening test. This meets a Daubert standard in the med legal space. Okay, so that's day 3. Make sure you have a process to screen every patient for traumatic brain injury or ligament instability. Day 4, template your med legal documentation. In my personal injury chat GPT bot that I created, we have a Colossus trained narrative format, narrative templates on the Colossus format for med legal documentation when you send it to an attorney. My personal injury GPT will even create a state-specific demand letter that you can write as a draft for these attorneys. You're going to take 8 hours of work off their plate by using AI-driven demand letters in my personal GPT that I created for the industry. They're not going to use your demand letter, but at least they have something to go on, and they may learn something for your demand letters. I'm not trying to say you guys are attorneys now, but you can provide that narrative for them in mere seconds if you know how to use artificial intelligence and chat GPT, especially my chat GPT, specifically for the personal injury industry. Day 5, follow up with attorneys on your existing cases. I made this a routine. 20 years ago, we were faxing attorneys the names of their clients, the amounts of their bill, and a little space. What's the status? Is it in litigation? Is it out for settlement? Are you still trying to get documents from other doctors? Like, let us know where this case stands. And this is a perfect excuse for you to get in conversations with attorneys you have relationships by having a process to follow up with them on your existing cases. Okay. Day 6, create a record request tracker to deliver records faster. Create a spreadsheet, create an SOP. My GPT specific in the PI industry can create SOP, standard operating procedures, for a record request tracker. You don't want to be late with record requests. That's the number one thing you can do to piss off attorneys. They're not going to want to work with you anymore. So day 6, create a record request tracker. Day 7, schedule a feedback call with your top 3 referring attorneys. Reach out to them, say, hey, I appreciate all the business. You guys really, we love the fact that you use our practice. I'd like to get your opinion on something. Do you have time for a quick call? And get feedback from them. Hey, what is it that you like about our practice? What is it that we do well that you keep sending referrals? And for my own edification, what can we do better? What are some things where we do an okay or good job, but where can we do an even better job? So this gives you a legitimate reason to reach out to your existing relationships with the PI attorneys that are sending you cases and get feedback from them. Okay? So just to wrap all this up, plug the leaks, build trust, grow referrals. Figure out where your leaks are. Those 3 attorneys, your top 3 referring attorneys, they'll tell you where your leaks are. And you may not want to hear it, and that's fine. Sometimes you need to hear the hard truths. Hard truths will get you out of your comfort zone and get you to take action. Okay, so plug the leaks, find what they are, plug them. You'll build more trust and grow your referrals. If you're in YouTube, like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Again, we create a long form video in personal injury to help you grow. Maybe it's marketing, maybe it's some service or modality that adds benefits to these personal injury cases, adds value to these cases. That's what I'm here for every day. I talk to a lot of doctors, a lot of chiropractors, and a lot of attorneys all across the country. I've got my ear to the industry of what's working, what's not working, to help you doctors get more traction in your marketing, optimizing what you already offer, and maybe add a few more things. And then your ability to communicate those to the attorneys and what benefits they bring to the industry. Don't just talk about your services, talk about the benefits of those services to the attorney, because that's who you're talking to. You want to be addressing their pain points in the conversations, not the patient's pain points. You're not talking to the patient. Attorneys have pain points, and that's what you need to be addressing on your conversations with those. So again, thanks everyone for showing up at today's live stream, and we will see you next time.